She was kidnapped by a serial killer, a man who took the lives of at least 3 teenage girls. But Kara Robinson Chamberlain is the one who got away.
On June 24th, 2002, 15-year-old Cara Robinson Chamberlain disappeared from a friend's yard in Columbia, South Carolina. After days of captivity and a harrowing escape, she would find herself a victim of a brutal serial killer. The experience of being hunted and kidnapped was horrific, and Cara's survival was nothing short of miraculous. Welcome to the Crimeful Corner. My name is Eli, and in today's video, we are going to explore the gripping story of Kara Robinson Chamberlain and her incredible escape from one of the most brutal serial killers in recent history. In Spotsylvania County, Virginia, on September 9, 1996, a 16-year-old Sophia Silva arrived home from school, made a drink for herself, and sat outside on her porch to do her homework. Then, Sophia disappeared. She seemed to vanish into thin air. When Sophia's mother came home, she only found her book bag on the porch, but no sign of her daughter. Sophia's mother contacted the police shortly after she disappeared, and they quickly determined that she had been abducted and did not leave on her own accord.
No one saw a thing the day 16-year-old Sophia Silva disappeared from her Spotsylvania home. That was 5 weeks ago. On Monday, Silva's decomposed body was found by a maintenance worker here in this marsh off Route 3 in King George County.
They were concerned because whoever kidnapped Sophia was brazen, as he took her in broad daylight when anyone could have seen him, and they were unsure what the individual would do next. Following an extensive investigation into Sophia Silva's disappearance, the search for her ended in tragedy 6 weeks later. Workers repairing a dammed creek discovered her body floating in a lake in October 1996. The medical examiner identified the body as Sophia's, and the missing person case was turned into a homicide investigation. Sophia's murder shocked the community of Spotsylvania County, which was horrified that a teenager could be abducted and murdered during a weekday afternoon. Sophia's body was found wrapped in a blanket tied together with expert knots, indicating the killer may have had military or outdoor manship experience. Investigators believed that Sophia had been sexually assaulted because she only wore shorts, a shirt, and no underwear. Furthermore, it appeared Sophia's killer dressed and redressed her. The person who took Sophia and murdered her had also shaved her vagina. Using the evidence from Sophia's body, the state crime lab recovered pink fibers, and detectives continued their search for the suspect. The police developed a suspect about a month after Sophia's death in 1996. A man stalked the streets in Spotsylvania County, living 4 houses away from the Silva family. Witnesses told investigators he had been spotted watching children get on and off the school bus, and they suspected him because he had no children. He disappeared for 2 weeks after Sophia's murder, but the police eventually found him. When they searched his car, they found pink fibers similar to those found on Sophia's body by the state crime lab. At the time, detectives believed this man was responsible for Sophia's murder and arrested and charged him with murder and abduction. Upon hearing that a killer had finally been captured, the entire community in Spotsylvania was relieved. Everyone felt like celebrating until 2 more girls disappeared. On May 1st, 1997, 15-year-old Kristen Lisk and her 12-year-old sister Katie disappeared from Spotsylvania. 5 days later, both girls were found sexually assaulted and killed in a river. The circumstances surrounding Kristen and Katie's disappearance were the same as Sophia's, but the killer was in prison. Or was he? Could the detectives have the wrong person behind bars for Sophia's murder? Based on the FBI Crime Lab's advanced technology, the detectives determined the pink fibers from Sophia's body did not match the man's vehicle. He was released from prison and cleared of all charges in Sophia's murder. In Spotsylvania County, residents were terrified that a serial killer was abducting and killing them. Since detectives had no leads to follow, they contacted the FBI's Behavior Science Unit for help, creating a profile of the murderer. In the report of Sophia, Kristen, and Katie's killer, it is stated that he is highly persuasive, smart, and obsessed with young girls. They also believed a killer like this kept trophies to relive his crimes. Although the profile enabled detectives to look for suspects, it brought in no leads. Detectives asked the media for tips about the murders and set up a tip line. The detectives received hundreds of leads, but none turned out to be relevant. Several years passed, and the murders and disappearances stopped. No one thought the person simply had an epiphany and stopped killing. Either he was dead, in jail, or had moved on. During the summer of 2002, 15-year-old Kara Robinson Chamberlain was enjoying the summer with her friends, hanging out, swimming, and doing what teenage girls do. On June 24th, Kara and a friend decided to go to a lake. Kara was at her friend's house, and the friend's mom told the girls they needed to water the flowers before they left for the lake. To save time, Kara's friend took a quick shower while Kara watered the plants in the yard. When Kara was outside of the house, she noticed a car drive by but didn't pay attention. However, a few moments later, the same car drove back down the street. But this time, the car did not drive past Kara's friend's house, instead pulling into the driveway. As the driver stepped out of the car, a stack of magazines was in his hands. He explained to Kara that he wanted to give them to her. While Kara stared suspiciously at the man's hands with the magazines, she never saw his other hand, which held a gun. Within seconds, he held Kara's neck tightly, and she felt a gun muzzle pressing against her throat. The man with the gun told Kara not to make noise or he would shoot her. After opening his car door, the man pushed the front seat forward and told Kara to sit in the back. She couldn't believe this was happening in broad daylight and thought someone should have seen what was happening and would help her, but no one did. A giant plastic bin was in the back of the man's car, and he forced Kara inside and placed the lid on top. After getting into the driver's seat, the man started his car and pulled out of the driveway. As the man drove the car, Kara paid attention to his route. She counted his left and right turns and determined they were on the interstate. Terrified because at this point, the man could be heading anywhere in the United States, and Kara felt the man had exited the highway about 10 minutes later. At some point, Kara hoped that if she remained calm enough, she could appeal to his human side and make him let down his guard so she could go home. When he pulled over to the side of the road, Kara heard him lean over to the back and remove the container's lid. Next, the man gagged and handcuffed Kara, then snapped the cover of the box shut. Suddenly, Kara felt breathless and panicked. After driving for a few more minutes, the man stopped the car once again. As he lifted the container out of the car, he warned Kara not to make a sound or he would kill her. While still bound and gagged, Kara heard the sounds of people outside and a car driving by and knew she was in a community. Kara considered whether to make a noise, but then she heard the man pull the container over the threshold of a front door and then a door slam. It was too late, and she was trapped inside of a locked space with him. When the man had dragged Kara inside and secured the lock, he removed the lid from the container, took the ball gag out of Kara's mouth, and uncuffed her. While standing up, Kara took in her surroundings and realized that she was inside the man's apartment. A large number of small animals such as hamsters, birds, and fish caught Kara's attention right away. It was cramped inside the small apartment with lots of odd items. He then spoke to Kara and told her if she complied, then he would let her go, but Cara knew he wasn't telling her the truth. She had a feeling she wouldn't survive in this man's apartment. As the man led Cara to his bedroom, he sat her on the bed and asked her strange questions. The man wanted to know if Cara was a virgin, if she had a boyfriend, and all about her past. Then, after asking Cara a series of strange questions, he began sexually assaulting her. Within the next few hours, the attacker repeatedly assaulted Cara sexually, and each time reaching for a knife or a gun if she tried to move. At one point, the man forced Cara to shower in the bathroom. As Cara bathed, she noticed items that made it seem as if a woman was living in the house. Items such as female shampoo, razors, and pink bath rugs. Cara wondered where the woman was and if she knew what this person was doing to her. The man watched Cara shower and then forced her to shave her vagina with a razor while he watched her. After Cara finished showering, the man led her to the living room and taunted her. He said, "Let's check the news to see if anyone missed you yet." And much to Cara's dismay, there were no reports about her disappearance. Despite her shock, she realized that if no one was looking for her, it was up to her to save herself, since she was sure that her abductor would not let her go. While Cara was sexually assaulted by her captor, she noticed a broom. If she asked to sweep the floor, she could get a good look around the house and learn more about the man who took her. She hoped it would also ease the man's mind, and he would continue to let down his guard, making it easier for her when the time came to flee. As Cara swept, she discovered the man's mail, but he'd hidden the address and name, so she couldn't read them without drawing suspicion. Cara's plan worked quickly, and the man relaxed and began to talk to Cara about his life. He told her he had served in the Navy but was discharged. Her mind stored other details about the person who took her in case she needed to recall him later when she explained what happened to the police. The man then forced Cara to watch a sexually explicit film with him. Cara was disturbed by the video for many reasons, but mostly because all the girls appeared very young. She wasn't sure if these girls were children or women who were made to look younger than they were, but either way, she was terrified. As they sat on the couch, Cara noticed a gun right beside her abductor. Now she considered grabbing the gun and shooting the man, but wondered what would happen if she missed, if the gun jammed, or if she hit him but failed to injure him. Because Cara feared what he might do to her in return, she decided to wait until later to escape. After Cara had spent 10 hours in captivity, the man placed her back in the container while placing a ball gag back in her mouth and handcuffing her. He told her he needed to make a phone call for her to stay quiet or he would shoot her. When the man snapped the lid shut on the container, Cara started screaming and hyperventilating. As she panicked, she couldn't breathe and made noise. Suddenly, the man returned with the gun and told Cara there would be consequences if she disobeyed him again. Eventually, the man removed Cara from the container and brought her into his bedroom, where he extracted a pill from a bottle on his dresser. He told Cara it was Valium, which would relax her, so she took it from him. She had no other choice. The man tied Cara to the bed using leg restraints, handcuffs, and a rope. Soon, Cara was exhausted from the Valium's effects and started to doze off. Cara awoke knowing it was time to escape. Seeing the sunshine through the window, Cara knew freedom was within reach. Initially, Cara laid still for a few minutes to ensure the man was still asleep and not waking up. "It is time," said a voice inside Cara's head. She scooted to the bottom of the bed to remove the restraints from her leg. Cara then removed a screw from the handcuffs with her teeth.
I had always expected that I would have an opportunity to escape, most likely when he was asleep. I wanted to wait until he was complacent, and so I woke up, he was asleep next to me, and I realized that was it. That was the time to go. So I began trying to unscrew the quick link. It's kind of like a carabiner with a screw clip on it, and couldn't do it. I had to do it with my teeth, and then kind of slid my hands, the handcuffs out of that and was able to slide one of my wrists out of the handcuffs at that point.
After escaping the man's bedroom, Cara walked to the front door while still wearing a restraint on her legs and with cuffs on her wrist. Cara was wearing shorts and a tank top. When Cara approached the front door, she saw the large container in front of it and encountered a problem. The container would make noise if Cara moved it, so she needed to move quickly to avoid waking her abductor, thinking he would sneak behind her and shoot her. When Cara moved the container, as expected, it made a lot of noise, so she opened the door quickly and ran outside without looking behind her to see if the man had awoken. As she ran into the parking lot, she waved down a mass of vehicles. Cara told the driver she had been kidnapped and needed to get to the police. She jumped inside the car as soon as the driver opened the back door and went to the nearest police station to report her abduction. By the look in Cara's eyes, the police officer at the station could tell how serious and truthful she was when recounting the details of her abduction and assault. An officer took Cara back to the complex in a police car so she could show them the apartment where she had been held captive. Eventually, Cara found the apartment, and when the police searched it, they discovered her abductor had fled. When investigators arrived to examine the evidence, they discovered that Cara was most likely not the man's first victim. The man who kidnapped Cara was 38-year-old Richard Mark Evonitz. He had been married twice, the first one ending in divorce. His current wife was in Disney World at the time of Cara's assault. Richard Mark Evonitz worked steadily in businesses that sold compressors and grinding equipment. Investigators found he had a criminal record dating back to 1987 when he exposed himself to a child. Investigators found news clippings about Sophia Silva's murder and Kristen and Katie Lisk's murder in Spotsylvania, Virginia when they searched Richard's apartment. Since they thought this man might have been involved in those crimes, they contacted authorities there. According to forensic tests conducted on items in Richard's home, the pink fibers from his bathroom rug matched those found on Sophia Silva's body. 3 days later, officers in South Carolina were notified that their suspect had been spotted in Sarasota, Florida. Police pursued Richard as he reached speeds of nearly 100 miles per hour. The officers ahead of Richard placed nail strips on the road, causing his tires to pop. Since he would not leave his truck, the police sicked a canine on him while waiting for him. Suddenly, officers heard a gunshot and found Richard Mark Evonitz dead. He committed suicide. When Cara learned that the man who was supposed to appear in court for the abduction and assault had committed suicide, she was angry. Cara said she wanted to watch his face as he realized kidnapping her was the worst mistake of his life. She desired to see the anger on his face because a 15-year-old had outwitted him. In August 2002, Cara met with the Silva and Lisk families who were grateful to Cara for bringing a sense of closure. As a result of Cara's strength and determination, the parents felt relieved that the person who had hurt their daughters could no longer do that to anyone else. Currently, Cara lives with her son and husband in South Carolina. She works for the Richland County Sheriff's Office. Whenever bad things happen to someone, they can give up or persevere, and Cara chooses to persevere. Her life has been filled with heartbreak, but she refuses to be a victim. Cara reclaims what has happened to her and calls herself a survivor. Thank you for tuning into the Crimeful Corner. That was the case of Kara Robinson Chamberlain. Hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to help support and grow the channel, and so we can keep dishing out this good content for you. And I'll catch you in the next one.